Hello, everyone! Welcome to the first episode of 2023's Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. I am one of your hosts, Kate Purcell, and this is my amazing co-host here, David. Tell us who you is and what we doing.
I am annoyed. No, hi, I'm David, but this is the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show where every week, most weeks, we get together and we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusion so that everyone can have a good time.
You got that out first try after such a long break.
Right.
Good job.
Right.
We are a little bit, we went on Christmas break, and then we went on a little bit of an extra break because stuff happens in real life, and David's got a new headset, and I have a kitten who's almost a cat, and I worked out today, so we are just it's gonna be a time. But we are back, we are excited, and wow, David, we started off this new year with a little bit of...
a lot has happened in the interim time. A lot of spicy things, and so we have to talk about the thing that's on everyone's mind: how happy we are Andrew Tate has been arrested. No,
absolutely
no. OGL 1.1.
Whew. So, before we say anything about this, hey Vivian, how are you doing? Welcome in. Before we say anything else, I want to point out a couple facts that we need to keep in mind. First off is that the OGL 1.1 is a leak. It is not officially released, and we don't necessarily know the final form that it's going to be. I would also like to state that David and I are not lawyers. And let's be honest, there's a lot of opinions from people about the OGL who are not lawyers. And you should really listen to a good lawyer. There is an amazing blog by my lawyer friend who actually breaks a lot of this down and explains a bunch of stuff. That's an excellent article. You should go read it. But beware people talking about they know what this means and it means that when they're not a lawyer. Because, trust, I have worked with enough lawyers where you're like, that makes sense. That would hold up in a court of law. And a lawyer's like,
And, I don't know if any of you have seen an episode of Law and Order, but it is 100% accurate, and that is exactly how the legal system works.
Yes.
But I'll be honest. Like I saw some of the fervor about 1.1 online, and I took a glance at it, and then I reminded myself, it's a leak, and leaks mean many things. One, it could be completely out of left field and does not matter. That's how I got my heart broken, 20 years ago with Legend of Zelda. Someone leaked this really cool animatic where adult Link is fighting adult Ganon, and then the game comes out and it's Wind Waker, and so it's like kid on boat chilling versus the adult Dark Soulsy combat I was looking for. But it also is a way for it most importantly, we can't verify if a leak is actually a thing or not. Mm-hmm. And it could be that some angry employee sat up, wrote something that would piss off everyone, and then roll that out. Or, with several assumptions all chained together, that yes, this is an accurate leak. Yes, this is what it's actually going to look like. It gives the company, any company that faces leaks, the opportunity to go, okay, this is the general sentiment, so we can then take steps forward to change
Yes.
our approach to it.
So, Vivian says, Ribbanonza says they're out of the loop, and we should talk a little bit about what this is. So, the OGL is the abbreviation for the Open Games License. This was created 20 years ago, and it is how all sorts of D&D content is made. It enables different places like Kobold Press and just our friends at Awfully Queer and Awfully Queer Heroes and anyone who's come on doing anything for D&D 5e. They do that through the Open Games License. The Open Game License also allows things like the actual plays that David and I run. It allows Critical Role to be run. And it is basically was an open game license that the company put out that said, you can create content using our material, you can edit our material. Here's the requirements around doing that. And that, again, has been in place for 20 years, and there was a very robust, very nice FAQ on Wizard's site about it. Over the holidays, there was a leak of the OGL 1.1. Wizards has said that they want to update the Open Games License, and the one that came out is it's not very creator-friendly.
Yes.
Now, again, we do not know exactly what this is because it is a leak. It could be purposefully leaked out to see how bad the backlash is going to be. It could be a disgruntled employee who was like, this is bad, I'm going to put it out. It could be a disgruntled employee who just made up BS and wanted to. We don't know. But
and listen here, Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast. I know you're watching.
Yes,
I know
absolutely.
you're not gonna, like, you and I know, like, just you and I know you're not gonna do this. So this is just a talking point for a couple of talking heads, and when the real OGL comes out, it's gonna be awesome. So good job on not doing this.
Yes.
I'm saying in advance.
There's a lot of things that are not very creator friendly, which includes, like, David and I would have to report every bit of money that we earn, including for charity, using 5e.
Yo. Yeah.
Any company which makes upwards of
750K.
Yes. Numbers and dyslexia are not fun. Would have to pay a 25% royalty to Wizards of the Coast.
An important caveat for that is it's gross, not net.
Yes.
So if you made $750,001 and your expenses were $750,000, despite the fact that you only made $1, you would still owe Wizards of the Coast what was it, 25%?
Yeah.
I don't know what 25% of, let's say you made $1 million, you would still owe them $250,000 regardless of what your profit margins look like. And I don't know about you, but like Daddy Bezos, who, thank you for hosting us here in your capitalistic space. If you, like, Brandon Sanderson pulled his books off of Audible, and authors get a better shake on Audible than that.
Yeah. And here's also the thing is a lot of people immediately hear that and go, that's a really big number. That's only going to impact like Critical Role. There are a number of successful TTRPG Kickstarters that go off, and you would have to budget. How do you budget for, if we cross this threshold, our cost jumps by 25%? Like, you can't budget that for a Kickstarter. Hello, Jester Jedi. Welcome into the chat. We are discussing the OGL 1.1 leak. So that's the very basics of what this is. And again,
there's more though. There's
There's so much more, but we are not lawyers. This is a leak. This is not confirmed. I have opinions about what's probably going to happen next, and what probably is or was not the mindset of the company based on how long they have and have not replied. As of earlier this afternoon, they... Oh my goodness, JD Lady, thank you for 6-month subs. As of this afternoon, they finally put out a statement. And they did not put it out. It's interesting that the statement did not go out on the Wizards of the Coast Twitter. It went out on D&D Beyond. And basically said, you have questions, we're going to put out a statement soon. Let's be honest, I think most fans don't have questions outside of WTF.
Yeah.
I think they have statements. But the other important thing to note about the OGL is that the OGL is not just used by Wizards of the Coast. It is used by a number, almost every TTRPG system uses the OGL 1.0A. And that's the other important thing that we forgot to mention about the 1.1, is that the 1.1 OGL says that it will revoke the 1.0A. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. And even lawyers can't tell you 100% for sure how this is going to shake out in court, because all of that's going to depend on who the lawyers are and who the judge is and what state it's tried in and all of those factors. Some say, especially because of precedent, that the 1.0A cannot be revoked. Some say that it only... the 1.1 will stand for anything after the 1.1 is implemented, but anything before the 1.1 can still use the 1.0A. We don't...
But again, we're
Oh no! David has been having internet lag on and off just today. So of course... Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
We're with...
We're wading into legal territory that is not our purview.
Right.
Unlike...
Oh no.
Kim Kardashian, I am not... Oh no. The internet gods.
You vanished for a moment, but you're back. But yes. So basically, we are not lawyers. We cannot speculate on if they can do it, if they can't do it, because even lawyers will tell you they don't know if Wizards can do it, because we won't know until it goes to court. And then it's the question of, does it go to court? Who can actually afford to take Hasbro to court? There's layers. So that is the hot button issue that is going on right now. It is impacting everything, because one D&D is about to come out. The D&D movie is about to come out. There are calls for people to boycott the D&D movie to make their point about the OGL. It's a lot. We are not going to speculate on all that. But I do think, yes, David is definitely broadcasting from the Shadow Realm. I do think it is important that we bring that up, though, because there are many systems that are not even D20 based that use the OGL. So to come in and completely revoke the 1.0A OGL will mess over a whole lot of companies. Again, I am not a lawyer, but I will cite precedent in that there was a scandal before we started our show with the Cortex system. Cortex was going to... a number of games were going to use the Cortex system, including such greats as Into the Motherlands and Emerald Templars. But when they put out their game license, it had a number of similarly troubling things to what we're seeing in this alleged leak. And they did revise their system, but so far the only well-known game that's in Cortex is the Dragon Prince Tales of Xadia system, which also we really need to play, David. I really want to play the Dragon Prince.
Wow. I did
Let's
not
go to the
know
D&D movie to
they,
protest the protesters.
And I mean, that's one of the like complicated things, because on the one hand, if big if this is rolling forward, then maybe you don't want to give Wizards the money. But on the other hand, do we really want to tell Hollywood that we won't go see these movies?
Right.
And then, you know, as someone who's been a below the line employee in Hollywood for many years, there are a lot of livelihoods. Like, you know, you in the early aughts, you went and saw a movie and there was some guy saying, hey, no pirate movies because blah blah blah, you know.
You wouldn't download a car.
Right. And in the long ago, there was this idea whereby, you know, it doesn't matter because all the below the line people and everyone except for the studio has gotten paid already, therefore it doesn't matter. But over the years, that has gotten less and less and less true. And so you have, you know, major special effects studios, you know, major carpentry companies that are suing to get paid for a movie that came out like 5 years ago. And you're like, listen, we've been making sets for you for 5 years straight now, and you guys keep saying you don't have any money. And Avatar 2 made $1.7 billion already, even though no one I know has seen it. And so, you know, like, do we want to give the message to Hollywood that says, hey, these types of movies we don't want to see? Right. All we want to see is, like, you know, the next Iron Man, Superman movie.
Right.
Like Iron Man versus Superman versus Batman versus Squirrel Girl. Actually, I would watch the movie.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl would win, no question.
Oh, absolutely.
She's the one who killed Deadpool. But there was a
she beat Thanos, right? At one point.
Yes. Squirrel Girl is such a badass. And there was a similar, you know, kind of question that had to be asked among certain people because when Black Panther came out, there was a large number of people who said we should protest Black Panther because it wasn't filmed in Africa. And everyone's like, that is not the message that Hollywood will take from this protest. Right.
They were like, oh man, we put a very diverse cast in this film and no one went to see it. So we're not doing that anymore.
And you know, I'm going to say this with strong ifs. If the D&D movie is good.
Yeah.
It's a very big if. But if the D&D movie is good, I would probably like more, even if I'm not playing the system.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm stuck. I had plans. Jess and I were to go to the Alamo Draft House, and we were either going to drink because the movie was good, or we're going to drink until the movie was good.
Amen.
But now, I gotta see what this statement's gonna be, because I want. Oh, another very, very important thing that I'm going to say very loudly and very clearly for all to hear. Yes, this is troubling. A lot of people are upset, and I'm going to say it's not a bad thing that you voice your opinion about this, because that is what is going to move the needle with big companies. However, please keep in mind that the most visible Wizards of the Coast employees are the ones who have the least impact over this decision. They probably found out about this, you know, around the same times, or have been dreading this coming out. Yes, the community manager says, please don't shoot the community manager. We are just the messengers. People very rarely listen to us. So please.
Also, as a note, if you run a game company, if you run any sort of company that has a community, and you have a community manager who's not a dickhead, because I have seen a couple of those, Most community managers are wonderful people. They are absolute punching bags. They're caught in the middle. They get punched from the company side and punched from the customer base client side. Just listen. Just shut up and listen, because they know what every single minute complaint, like if there is a pixel out of place in a character art, they know, because they've had 37 people, including professional artists, come and say, like,
I love it when
I'm not
David
a
works
community
himself
manager.
up.
I am not a community manager, but ooh-wee, have I seen just tone-deaf responses. Like, think about how many shit posts there are on the internet. Like, there are communities that have multiple subreddits on Reddit, where it's like, this is the main thing, and then this is the thing for all the people who complain so much they're not allowed in the main thing anymore, and then this is the one for all the people who are tired of people complaining about it, and so we want a salt-free environment, and then this is the subreddit just for the memes. And then like you take like Apex Legends, or you take like Overwatch, or you take any of, like, you know, these massive multiplayer communities, and they have multiple subreddits, and you know who trolls every single last one? You know who sorts by new in those? It's the community people. It is the community managers. So
And
if
I'm gonna say really quick. They troll them as in they read them all to report it back to the higher ups, not they're in there stirring up the pot.
If you post a meme at 2:15 in the morning that has 0 upvotes on Reddit, in like the most like asinine, like back of beyond subreddit, thinking no one will ever see it, you might just have a community manager go, hey, we're looking into this, we're really trying here. And the other thing is, make no mistake, 99% of the people who work on the things that you enjoy, especially the creative sides of things, they love what they do, and they love the thing that they are working on for you. Those people, like again, the D&D movie, no one signed on the dotted line, whether it be actors or stuntmen or actually, if you could find documentaries on stuntmen, go watch them. Stunt people, because some of just not just the most badass people on earth, but some of the most talented actors on earth are stunt people, because doing all that and getting hurt real bad at the same time. Like, if you said to me, hey David, we're going to strap you to the hood of a car and drive real fast, and we're going to give you 5% of the person who's going to get credit for this, I'd be like, it's going to be a hard no for me.
Yeah, we're gonna drive real fast. We're gonna stop. You're gonna slide off the hood. You're gonna pop up and deliver this particular body movement while you do it. Yeah, I was gonna open a thing on stream, but I can't find it now.
Who are clamoring to do that job because they love it so much, and then when they hear that they can do it for a property that they love, whether it be Marvel or DC or a fantasy book or Dungeons and Dragons, I guarantee you that when the B-roll and like all the interviews come out, like 3 or 4 years from now, no, like 15 years from now, when they're on D&D 7, you're going to hear that there's been a Dungeons and Dragons game among the crew that has been consistent across all 7 movies. These people love what they do.
They want the best for the property desperately.
Right. And Bonanza makes an excellent point. CD Projekt Red, G4 TV, ooh-wee. You could say the same thing about Blizzard Entertainment. now Blizzard, Activision, Blizzard, Activision. Listen, Blizzard, come for me. Like, just, it's fine. Come step on my neck. I have a lot to say before I suffocate. But, in addition to the fact that so many of the people, especially the creative side, love the thing that you love and want it to be as great as it can be. In addition to that, they get blindsided by stuff so bad. Like, I've talked to people who have worked for creative companies, and I've been like, hey, did you hear about such, and they're like, what? And then they grab their phone and they look it up and they're like, oh no, I have to go make a call, I'll be back. And that's how they find out.
Yeah.
Like, for me, the guy on the internet.
Jedi Jester just said, every D&D movie has the same cast, but they're all playing different characters. And I love this so much.
Yeah.
I love this idea.
Like that, and the idea of like the post-credits scene is all the actors are sitting around the table and be like, same time next week, I'll bring snacks. Like, just listen.
You know what I want? All I want is they walk in somewhere and someone says, it's really dark in here. And someone says, I have dark vision. That's all I want.
Yep.
If they do that, I'm happy. I don't care if the rest of it's bad. Give me that.
We should put together like a D&D bingo card and bring it to the film.
Absolutely.
And be like, all right.
We should put out a Chaotic Wholesome branded D&D movie bingo. But, obviously, with all of that said, David, there's a lot of people worried about continuing on in 5e. And not just the creators. A lot of players, especially streamers, are like, oh, this could be a problem. Hello, crew. So, and I had, even before all of this came out, kind of pitched the idea to David of, David, it's no secret, we're working on a project. We got our next project in mind. It is going
Actually,
to be...
we have a whole calendar of projects in mind.
My baby that I've been working towards, and I was like, about this time last year, I'm like, you know what? I would really love to have this by June, but maybe we can start it in like winter of next year. And now I'm like, I would like for it to be June, but maybe winter of next year. So I'm nothing if not consistent. But it's an idea we've been working on for a while, and we've actually now got enough people with enough background and skills and opinions that we're actually maybe going to start fleshing this out more. Because people, we talk about it here a lot. Bring in diverse and interesting people to work on your content. David and I are not building all of the world and all of the lore ourselves. By the way, David, we have a new thing that is happening in this game because Kato gave me the perfect idea for how we are dealing with a certain thing within the city.
Boy.
And it is great. Find friends who are like, here's a completely bonkers troll idea, so you can take it and go, it's not as bonkers as you think. Here's how we make it a legitimate idea, not a troll idea. And then we just do it, and then we surprise all the players with it. So.
And I'm not going to thank the leaker, but it is serendipity. It is serendipitous that this leak happened because it dovetails nicely into what we were going to talk about anyway. And that is one of the big focuses we have, not just in the major projects we're working on this year, but also as general TTRPG GMs and players, is learning and exploring new systems. Like, with all of the wonderful, talented people we've interviewed over the past year, one thing that's always stood out to me is how much each of these people branches out from just, Dungeons and Dragons. And, we use D&D much like people use Kleenex and Xerox, in that it is a catch-all term. But, like you mentioned earlier, like the open game license impacts more than just D20 games. And you've played non D20 games on stream. I've done some research on different systems, including like D6 systems. And I'm
You
like,
played
okay, for all those people
you played Urban
who have
Shadows
like,
off stream.
yeah, I did play Urban Shadows. You know, and for people who have like Liar's Dice sets, they don't necessarily need to go get a 2x2 cube of miscellaneous dice in order to
But you can and
play.
you should. You should
Let's face it, they will. They
eventually.
everyone who gets like deep into it gets a dice collection.
Yeah, I got new dice over Christmas and they're so pretty. I can't even tell
Case
you.
in point.
This is my Soul from the Emergency Power Podcast dice set, and I love them. But yes, diversifying the kinds of games you play makes you, I think, a better player and a better GM. Largely because, and this is one of my favorite, some of my favorite things that they have done on Critical Role has not been main Critical Role. It has been the Calamity and the Exandria Unlimited series, because like at one point, you know, they're going through all these relics and they find this creepy crown with like you touch it and you get mental images of spiders and sticky webs all over you, and all the seasoned players are like, oh, I wonder what that could be. And the newbie, who it's her first time playing a tabletop game ever,
He's
goes,
just like,
do you think it's from a spider god? And you see all of the veteran players going, you're not supposed to say that. So we do kind of, you learn the game and you learn the boxes you're supposed to play in, and you can kind of trap yourself in those boxes. Whereas if you're playing a rules light system, you're like, okay, I want to attack him. And the GM's like, okay. What? How? What do you... And when you can start giving yourself permission to think outside of those boxes and to go back to, how can I be that really creative? You know, how are we going back to me and my friends may as well be 12 years old? We are sitting around and we are playing imagination games and we have the rules and the dice to decide, so we don't just... So there's consequences, so we don't just, yeah, well, I do this. Yeah, well, I do that times infinity. Giving yourself permission to get into that is a really cool reason to play other systems. Also, you might just pick up some cool stuff from other systems that applies brilliantly in the games and systems that you're trying to play.
Yeah, like you've heard us talk about it. I think we had an episode on it of like things that we've pulled from other systems, that we've pulled from other actual plays, that we've pulled from other people that we're fans of, and we've gone, hey, this thing is cool, it's mine now. I don't know if you intended it for it to be mine, but it goes into the bag of holding of tricks that we have, and it's ours, and thank you very much. And conversely, like there are things that we've rolled out where other people have gone, hey, that's cool, and then incorporated it not just into their stream games but into their home games. And I think that's really cool.
And even just language around things, you know. So, you know, David, when we started our journeys as co-GMs, David was always complaining about luck. There needs to be a better luck mechanic in TTRPGs. And various things have done it various ways. One of my GMs says heads or tails, and we'll flip a coin. And if you pick that, you get it. That's nice, I guess, because you get a little bit control that you get to pick every time. That's too much pressure for me. I always pick tails. Always. My character has a tail, so they pick tails. That's just how it is. Other GMs would be like, okay, I'm going to roll this, and if it's this or below, then the bad thing happens. If this or above, the good thing happens. I got to play Backwoods, which is a very fun Southern Gothic horror game. I got to play it on stream, and those Those folks are amazing. Go check out their modules, especially if you want to play a game where you get to have a Southern accent. Fits real well.
Or
And
rather, where you can stop disguising and hiding your Southern accent.
I don't know what you're talking about. It does not get stronger when I drink, sir. And they had luck is a key part of their thing. Luck is a key part of their game. And they said, when you build your character, you pick even or odd. And then I've incorporated that into my character. Like, anytime I play a game, I don't know if luck is going to be a thing in it, but you're building your character. You know, we're using 5e, we're using Pathfinder, we're using whatever. On your character sheet, write even or odd. I don't care which, but write it. And then in the moment, grab a dice, roll it. Does it match your luck? Cool, it happens. So I 100% stole that, and I will promote that game till the end of time because it is such a clean and simple and clear mechanic that you could just drop in.
Something that we've brought up time and time again, and I will continue to bring up because it just makes sense, is the Matt Mercer potion rule of like, potion isn't an action, it's a bonus action. Like, well, one thing that the D&D core rulebook, at least as I can't remember seeing, is them illustrating the volume of a potion. Because we think of like when I think of potions, I think of Legend of Zelda, like original NES Legend of Zelda. There's like in the like booklet, there's a picture of your boy Link drinking like a little round glass goblet thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that. And so my whole life I've been like, thing you hold in the hand that's that big, that's a potion. That'll do you up. That'll do you up great. That does not take 6 seconds to drink.
Now, there is an argument to be made for you have to grab it out of your bag, pull it out, and drink it. It's not just consuming the potion, it's pulling it out. However, especially half these characters have like a bandolier or something with a potion strapped to their belt.
Right. And unless you are a fraternity bro having your first shot of tequila, it's not going to take 6 seconds for you to get the 2, 4, 6 ounces down. Now, if a healing potion is like,
oh no, David froze right in the middle of one of his rants, and it's great because you can see him powering up. This is like the Dragon Ball Z. Oh, if he absolutely drops, my layout's gonna be borked. There he is. You're back.
oh yeah, hear it. But yeah, if your potion is like a beer stein, then it would take me 6 seconds to choke that down. Maybe less, but in the heat of the moment, sure. Now, so when Wizards of the Coast, would you roll into 1D&D? I'm going to need both in standard and metric the measurement of a potion so that we can continue this debate. But
I need to know
until
if this
then,
is accurate, please.
right. Until then, the Matt Mercer rule stands in effect. Drinking a potion is a bonus action, not an action. The end. And we talk about homebrew. Oh no, here we go.
You're just having all the battles tonight. There you go.
But we talk about, homebrew, and we talk about all the things that we pull from things. And, like Kay and I said, part of our goal for this year is to really lean into that exploration, to really dig deep into other systems so we can pull more gems, and so that depending on the types of stories that we want to tell, we
Depending on the types
Yeah,
of
but
stories we
no,
want to tell,
so for instance, but you brought up Cato before. Cato and I have talked about um running a train heist, or a train heist, or a
Ooh.
carriage heist. And realistically, 5e doesn't have those mechanics. And so if we start building out custom things to make that happen within the system, there comes a point where it's the ship of Theseus. Like, you pull out so many boards and then you put so many new boards in, is it a different boat? And the answer to the ship of Theseus, at least in the TTRPG space, is there's another boat over there that does what you need to do already.
Yeah.
And so why reinvent the wheel? Why reinvent the boat when you could just go get in the other boat?
Yeah.
And the other boat's great on top of that.
And we also want to be able to promote indie systems and other systems and awesome creators. And, there are people who make amazing content in like Savage Worlds or in Pathfinder, and we want to be able to have them on and not just 5e creators. So if you know creators, if you know experts in a certain system, if you know evangelicals of a really cool system, please point us to them or point them to us. We are eager for more guests. We love doing guest streams, and it's gonna be great.
And if you have systems that you either love or are really curious about and have never really gotten into, and you want someone else to do the heavy lifting for you, it's like, listen, I work 2 jobs, I have a cat, I don't have time for this.
I work 2 jobs.
Okay,
I have a cat. I don't have time for this. And David pieces out.
Fair. But, I don't want to do the hard work. You guys do the hard work for me. Tell me about the system. Give me the cliff. Then let us know.
Yeah.
Find us on Discord. Tweet us. Be like, here's the system I want to learn about. So go do the learning for me. Because that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So, as I said, David and I have various amounts of experience in D&D 5e. A lot between the two of us. We can shake out just about any situation, but we are still learning a lot of other systems. I've been really fortunate that I've gotten to play in games of Mothership and Thirsty Sword Lesbians and Outbreak and there was an incredible goblin game where you made 5 goblins and it was all d6, and if you took 2 wounds your goblin died and the next one just dropped in. Just all sorts of bananas, weird, fun systems. But we are undertaking you love the narrative dice systems from Fantasy Flight Games. Fantasy Flight makes some cool stuff. I need to do more with them. But even before all this had shaken down, I got to play with, thanks to a mutual friend, or friend of Jeff from the Emergency Bar podcast, I got to play in a one-shot in Pathfinder 2e just to kind of feel out the system. And, ooh, goodness, that 3-action economy, I was a little addicted, and I'd kind of been like, hey, David, I mean, I don't know, because it might be a lot to learn, and I don't know if it'll fit. We got to learn a lot, but, like, maybe we could run our big project in Pathfinder 2e. We'd both have to learn it, but, like, ooh, it's real fun. Combat is real fun when you've got the 3-action economy. So, as an example, you don't have action, bonus action, swift action, or move. You don't have... You get 3 actions in your turn, so you can run 3 times. You can do your movement 3 times. You can do attacks, but every time you attack, you take a penalty because you're just swinging away, getting a little less accurate. But like I present as a woman, so I played as a healer because that's what we do in these games. I was playing a cleric, and we had a situation where like 2 or 3 of the party were about to die. There was a ritual going on. If the person performing the ritual died, it was going to go real bad. And that person was nearly dead. Like, we were about to TPK. It was about to be a very bad encounter for us. And at the end of my 1 turn, I specifically like used my move action to place myself in the center of everything for my next turn. And then when my next turn came around, I had 1 healing spell. As a healer, you have 1 healing spell. But here's the thing. You use that 1 healing spell as 1 action, and you can touch someone and heal them 1d8. If you use 2 actions, that same spell you can cast at a distance and add an extra, it's 1d8 plus 8. For 3 actions, so you cannot move, all you do that turn is cast that spell, it becomes an AoE heal and can hit 6 or 7 targets within 30 feet.
Ooh.
I saved the game, and it was clutch. And everyone thought we were going to wipe, and I just kept going, I got it, don't worry, I got it. And that AoE heal healed everyone enough to get us through, to get out of the situation. So there's some incredibly clutch moves. And there's other things in Pathfinder where, not, like, one of the reasons D&D, like, you run up to the thing and you hit the thing until it's dead, basically. Because everyone has an attack of opportunity. Very few classes get an attack of opportunity in Pathfinder. And you don't necessarily know if, like, monsters or other enemies have attacks of opportunity. So it's a lot more mobile because you can run up and then run away, but you're also, until you figure out if they have an attack of opportunity, there's a little bit of a risk of, do I run up and run away? So there's some, I really like some of the flexibility that the system has. Character creation is definitely more challenging than in 5e, because 5e, I could throw together a character in 3 minutes. Flat.
Right. Just super fast.
Pathfinder definitely takes a little bit more work. It has been streamlined to make it easier than 1e, because, oh my god, character creation in Pathfinder 1e. No.
Pain. I developed an entire 0-session game, like one-shot to run, because D&D 3.5, the character creation took a while. And then I started trying to make a character in Pathfinder 1e, and I'm like, listen, this is a 6-episode campaign. And then we'll actually start playing, because it takes forever. I think Kay and I sat down, and an entire 3-hour session we were putting together, and I had like 2 different character generators on my phone. We had the Pathfinder book. We had various notepads and stuff. I have written essays in faster. I've written 15-page essays faster than it took me to make a character in 1E Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
Yeah.
To the people who make Pathfinder, thank you for making that simpler, because good gravy.
Yeah. The character creation in 2E is still a little bit more like tied to, like, bonuses are more tied to species than I would like, but I think we can easily work our way out and around of that. That is one of the things I like. Pathfinder very early said, we're not dealing with the word race anymore. They're now species. Which, thanks.
Ancestry.
They do ancestry and they also do species.
So I amidst all the other things that are happening, I started my crawl through Pathfinder. And Pathfinder, at first blush, really strikes me as people went, okay, we've been playing D&D for a long time. We have all these complaints about it. What if we just took all this and made it better? What if we took all the things that we're complaining about and changed them into something? Because paladins aren't paladins anymore. Now you might now there are plenty of people out there who play paladin, and they're like, listen, a paladin, your paladin can still be a paladin. But you in 5e and in previous editions, it didn't matter if your god was like doing things or not. All that matters is that you believe. It's not warlock, where warlock is like, listen, if daddy says no, then there are no cookies in the cookie jar. Paladin is like, I don't give a shit what he's got to say. Whoever's up there floating around, doesn't matter, because I believe. I am a true believer. So here we go. And you think to yourself, okay, if Ribonanza says, off topic, but Final Fantasy 14 Paladin just got updated and it's not as fun anymore. Listen.
Buckle up, everyone.
There is... I'm not going to go on a huge tangent. All I'm saying is that there is a fan thing happening in Vegas, and someone who will remain nameless may have to put like 200 hours into Final Fantasy 14 between now and then, and I am both looking forward to it and not looking forward to it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But no, one other thing.
Oh boy.
You mentioned earlier that women and female presenting people often get like sort of like cornered into healing roles. And I suggest, it is a gentle suggestion for anyone.
Internet's like, no, we are not going to gently suggest. Hey, Zycram, how you doing? It just wants to shut David down. It's just like, nah, David, we don't want your rant. We don't want your gentle suggestion.
Okay, I'm back.
Yes.
Internet. Oh no, it's resetting my wireless adapter.
Uh-oh.
But let's see how long this had. But
thank you.
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah.
All of the good
Thank
vibes
you,
for David's internet.
Because my internet has been
I
a
can
thing
feel his
today.
blood pressure spiking from across the country.
But if you are a healer, no matter what the game, remember that you don't serve the people that you're healing. It is that the people that you heal desperately need you. So use this as an opportunity to assert your own importance. And if they're not polite, if they're not deferential, then maybe they don't get what they need. You get a lot more bees with honey than vinegar, is all I'm saying.
I may or may not have back in the Ragnarok Online days.
Ooh.
And yes, I recognize that I'm internet dating myself.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, we would do raids, and people who were in the guild that I never played with because it was a giant guild would be like, "How come you're not heals? How come you're not heals?" Because I was a special build that really didn't do many heals, and they'd just talk crap, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're a girl. Oh, you're a girl. Go get me a sandwich." And I would let them die, and when they'd get on voice chat and scream about it, I'd be like, I'm sorry. Did you need heals? I was making a sandwich. Hey, Jeff.
10 out of 10.
But yes.
But champion. So, in D&D, it doesn't matter how your god feels as long as you are of the faith. So it's like, if you don't really need a god, then is it really a religious thing? And there are those of us who are like, all this stuff sounds cool, except I don't want to bend the knee to some asshole who's sitting up in another plane who doesn't really care about me. But the subtle change in wording, and there are many things Pathfinder does in terms of the subtle change of wording that I appreciate, like ancestry and species, or ancestry and subspecies, and champion from paladin, means that it is much easier for those of us who want to spit in the face of God to embrace the faith, to do all that cool stuff without needing to bend the knee to a higher power. I'm not saying. Nope, continue, because my internet is
Well, and one thing that Pathfinder and Starfinder as well, which I have more experience at this point in Starfinder than I do in Pathfinder, is in the game that I'm in with Supernova JM, who's in chat, is they really allow you to customize your character. So in Emergency Power, I play a Solarian, which is basically a paladin. It's like a space Jedi paladin, right? They're a charisma-based class. And I had to work real hard for this build. Like, I had to get real freaking clever, because this Starfinder is still on the 1.0. It doesn't have the 2. But I got to build a paladin who's actually very dexterous and kind of sneaky, to the point where I often forget that I'm not playing a rogue, and sometimes have them do dumb things that they shouldn't do because they're not a rogue and they don't have the bananas stealth bonus, unless they turn invisible, but that's a whole other conversation. And one of our friends, Pan, their character had, for reasons, had to change classes, and decided the new class was going to be, in another game, not in this game, decided their new class was going to be Solarian. They really enjoyed my character, was like, cool, I'm going to build a Solarian. And their Solarian is so incredibly different from mine. There is so much customization that you can do as your character levels up. Even from at certain levels up, you get more skill points to drop. You don't increase your dexterity or your strength, but you can increase your charisma, or you can increase your athletics, or you can increase your diplomacy. So you can start really actually making your stats reflect your character growth. And in Pathfinder 2E, you start out, and basically everyone gets a feat at level 1. And your feat was somewhat decided by your class. So as a rogue, you can, take a feat that makes you really good with locks or with traps, right? Cool, makes sense. When you hit level 2, every even level, you get a new feat. And when you start out, I think you get depending on your class, you get 4 to 8 options when you are at level 1. And then at level 2, you can pick any level 1 feat, or there's a new pool of level 2 feats that you can take. And at level 4, there's even more feats, and you can pick from an earlier level or the new ones. So you can actually start building out your character, and with that kind of expanding pool, you're not overwhelmed. There's not 300. This is part of my problem with building a Starfinder character, is there's so many freaking feats, and there's like augments, and there's so much you can add, and it was overwhelming. But they've really, with character creation, narrowed it down. So here's a more manageable group of decisions to make. And then as you advance, you can grow, and more options open up. And at that point, you know your character, and you know what kind of game it is a little bit more, and it makes it easier for you to make those decisions. Welcome on in, Rex. So yes, that's my rant.
Oh. Pain. Ribonanza says, sounds like Starfinder has a feet fetish. And
that hurt. That was
Mm.
10 points of psychic damage from me.
Right, yeah, just definitely rolling for psychic damage. Yeah. And Rex Verdi says that's great because you don't get build regret when you skip something early on. And I know that like in 5e, ooh,
Rayonk X says, does this mean I have to make a punterity check to see if I take half damage? Yes, definitely.
now I need to make a pun-based game where that's how you levy attacks against
So
enemies.
you need to invite Jeff, Supernova, into that game. It will be incredible. If you look, the majority, not all of them, but the majority of the punny titles in Emergency Power Podcast are Jeff's creation, and he will pop them up in the middle of the game and just be like, by the way, this is the name of it. Like, the one that we just put out, we made a bomb, and we had some fruit, and for reasons, it was a tactical idea, it was a sound tactical idea to put the fruit on the bomb, and they're like, is it a pomegranate? I'm like, Pungeons and Dragons, yes. Jeff consistently slays me in game.
Pain, absolute pain. Is it a bomb?
Yep. What's great too is Pan, who is very British and very dry. You know, we're all laughing and there's a pause. And Pan's like, I'm sorry. Did you say pomegranate? I just got that. How dare you? Like, we were done, and then Pan kills us again. Would an all-melee TTRPG be Pungeons and Portals? Rhyme and punishment. Yep. You punned so hard you froze David's feed.
I'm upset because now I have to make an entire new module, and I was not expecting that today.
If actually we need Jeff, we need Rex, and then we need Andon. Andon is I stole Andon from Stephanie, who was one of our first guests. Andon, when Andon joined the Chaotic Wholesome Discord server, I knew I was in for joy because Andon just spits puns like no one, and they are all so painfully good. Yep, we got a new portal. I bet we could rope Stephanie into this too. I've completely forgotten what we were talking about. Y'all punned so hard.
A direction I did not expect.
No. I mean, we probably should have expected it, but...
Yeah. Ooh.
Maybe that can be... Jeff, are you okay with my talking about power packs? Just want to make sure... I feel like it's totally fine. I just, So, Emergency Power Podcast, I play Soul on the main one, but they run different power packs where different GMs will come in and run different games. We have guest players, and they're fun, like mini campaigns, mini episodes. And I've been encouraging David to maybe consider running one. If it's going to be a pun-based one, you know, clarity of audio is very important. Maybe the pun campaign is the one you do for Emergency Power. Just saying. Yes, it would be a punshot. Absolutely. And we've literally broken David's internet. We've punned so hard.
A punshot.
I'm
I
so happy watching you broken.
I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this at all. This is a lot. This
I
is
don't
a
want to.
lot that you have done.
Can't believe you've done this. I don't want to tell your stories,
Right.
David, but David's had a time, and I feel like David needed the laugh. So thank you all.
Yes.
So, we've talked a little bit about Pathfinder 2e. Talked a little bit about Backwater. Do you all have like what is your go-to non-5e game system? And we would like, and also, is it I can verb. This is great. I'm on here to like verb, and I'm not verbing well. Thank you for being very loud, Manhattan. What is your favorite non-5e system? And is it like a one-shot system? Is it a campaign system? Or is it a combination? Because like there are some really great systems that you do not want to don't make for good one-shots. I was invited to a one-shot, and I really wanted to do it because it was for charity, but it had a 30-page quick start. And I was like, I can't comprehend.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I can't comprehend a 30-page system for one game. Oh, if you only had a one-player show, it would be a pun-on-pun session. Fate Accelerated is so good for one-shots. I want to pitch a live play, an actual play at PAX Unplugged or something. One of those big TTRPG shows where we play Dread, where instead of D20, like your rolls are determined by a Jenga tower. Can you imagine having to pull Jenga bricks to see if you succeed in front of a live audience? I'm terrible at Jenga. It would be horrible. We have lost your audio, David. I could see your face moving, but we cannot hear you, and you have no Google Captions. So you might have muted yourself in Google? IDK. Tell us about Fate Accelerated, if you would be so kind, Jeff. Well, David fights with his mic. Of course. Y'all, happy to... It's not... Everyone be careful this week, because may I remind you that Friday is Friday the 13th? So, like, just, be careful. With my luck, I would just Jingax the experience. But yeah, I was saying this in my server. I really enjoy rules light games for, like, one-shots. They're super easy to pop into. They're super easy to pick up and play, especially if you've got, a really good GM. But they kind of trigger my control issues. I don't know if anyone knows this. David might laugh just a little. I have a little bit of a control issue thing. I feel like rules light. Oh no, we lost David, which means this broke everything. Hold on. Okay, David's back. Can we hear you now? Disconnect. Yeah, I don't know. I have a problem with rules light campaigns because it feels so arbitrary and so wishy-washy, and I feel like I don't have, like, I know the pass-fail conditions in most dice-based systems, right? And I feel like if I know the pass-fail, if I know the requirements, even if I don't know the DC, I know there's a DC, and I know that if I pass the DC, when I'm swinging a sword, it'll hit, and this thing will happen. Rules light get a little too wishy-washy for me for a long-term campaign. I've been told that if you play long enough with a GM you really know and trust, who will actually make you make rolls, because a lot of GMs for those are very nice and will just, that sounds really cool, you can do it, so it doesn't really end up being as dice-based. But that is my... I love rules like Thirsty Sword Lesbians and all of those. But yeah, I'm like, I don't like math, but I still need a little more crunch. Jeff says, Fate Accelerated is a generic system. Each character has aspects, which are one-liners that describe your character and personality. They also have a very similar number of skills that are very broad and dependent on the game you're playing. For example, the 4 skills in Fate Accelerated, Nitrate City, are comedy, action, drama, horror. If you have fate points, which are like hero points that allow you, and hero points are kind of like inspiration in 5e, that allow you to invoke an aspect, any aspect in the scene, not just your own, and gives you either a +2 or a reroll to your check. You gain fate points by invoking your aspects in negative ways, so there's a constant push and pull. That's cool. Yeah, I know. I want to get Candace on here. Candace was in Godplane and the Christmas Cookie Caper. I want to get Candace in to talk about Savage Worlds, because Candace loves Savage Worlds. And that has a lot of... when you fail, you gain an adversity dice that you can add to other rolls. And it has a lot of... your flaws are determined less by your dice rolls, like at character creation, and more you sit down and say, I want a character who is bad at this, and then you build that mechanic into your stats, not the other way around. Poor David. Poor David. So yeah, I want to get Candace in to talk about Savage Worlds. I want to play Savage Worlds.
Now?
I've just never... Oh, you exist.
Ooh, yeah. I figured it out.
Good job.
Great joy.
Did you knock something when you were gesticulating?
I have no idea. I'm just glad that we're getting all the tech gremlins for the year out in this episode. Ooh. Oh god, it would be a towering it. So you may have answered my question. I do not remember because my brain turned off. What happens when the tower falls?
When the tower falls, it's like the something terrible happens. It's kind of like in Haunting on the House of the Hill, where it triggers an event, and then you rebuild the tower and you go.
That could be a lot of fun, especially if there was alcohol involved.
Yeah, again, I think in front of a live audience where people are starting to like do it, and
yeah, that'll get the hands jittering. Yeah.
And like in Critical Role they got rid of their Tox Machina show, and then they have like one called Four-Sided Dive now, where they have 4 of the players hang out and do an episode talking about the show. And one of the things they do is they have a Tower of Inquiry, which is a legally distinct Jenga tower with numbers on them, and they will they will pull out the Jenga brick, and then they'll get a corresponding question, and they build it up, and there's consequences to anyone who topples the tower. And some of them are really good. So some of them will come in and like will just deliberately remove like all the bottom, so there's just the 2, and it's super wobbly to stress everyone else out. One person one time was just like, I'm going to embrace chaos, and he goes over and just like grabs the brick, yanks it out, and the tower is still standing, but was like, bam, and punches it as he's pulling the brick out, because he's like, I want the consequences. I want to find out. You know, we've been fucking around for however many episodes of this. I want to know what happens when the tower falls. So I feel like, you know, you could get some of that chaotic energy in a live show and be like, no, I want to fail. I want to see what bad thing happens. I think it'd be really fun. Drinking while playing Jenga sounds like a shaky proposition. Oh, and they do the whole like if you touch the brick, you have to take it out, and you can only do it one-handed, right? Ooh. So there's all the rules that certain rules lawyers get about Jenga, and I'm like, yeah, holy cats, y'all, I'm not good at how do you? It's just incredible. Watch some of them walk up, grab the thing, yank it out, put it on top. It's like,
Yeah, that is the hard top execution. The last time I played Jenga, I bourbon in one hand, just and here's the thing, like when you don't do you have to touch it, like if you touch it you have to pull it, then you could be like
beak, 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 beak. Yeah.
Addison's moving.
Kato, welcome. I told David.
Talking about Jenga.
Yeah, right now we're talking about Jenga. We started with the OGL and why we cannot comment too extensively on it because we're not lawyers. And talked about diversifying the kinds of TTRPGs you play and why that's a good thing. And now we're somehow talking about Jenga. We took a detour onto puns, but we're talking about our favorite non-5e systems. And I was saying I want to do a Jenga, I want to do a Dread game at a live event, which is your dice rolls are pulling bricks from a Jenga tower. And don't say what it is because I want it to be a surprise, but I told David that we're going to have a talk about your idea that you pitched to me that is now canon in the project. It was the OGL and then we made too many puns and now it's Jenga.
Yes, that
accurate summary
is a very concise. Yeah. Though my favorite are the people who either poke or flick the Jenga cubes out, where like they'll have drink in hand and then they'll just be like, and it's gone, and you're like, no, that's not how you play this.
Watching people who go up and like they pull it and they get it like halfway out and then it sticks, and they're just standing there like, no, I got this, and they just do this until it comes out, and I'm like,
and then the whole tower's just like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I'm pretty sure I've had reoccurring nightmares that are less stressful than watching that stuff happen.
Yeah, we put half of them in Godplane.
Yeah, and half of them didn't get in Godplane because we had too many potential planes for people to go to. Oh, yes,
yeah,
we have...
ooh-wee.
So yes, if anyone else in chat...
Now I have to... I was just going to say, now to run... Like, if I'm going to run an in-person game, I need to bring a Jenga set with me, too.
You need to bring the oversized Jenga. Like, where the blocks are, like, this big. So everyone can see. And we need to paint it, like, black or gray. We need to set the mood.
Fair.
I can't
I'm
half-ass
thinking, like,
anything.
Purple,
I have to overdo
gray,
everything.
Black.
I'm into it. Throw in a white and you've got the ace flag.
And then we have to get little two-part things so we could stick numbers to them and then put the numbers on the inside so you can't tell what number is what based on the color.
Well, I don't think like it's not I need to look up the rules of Dread again, but I don't think that requires a number. It is just pass-fail.
Oh.
You succeed until you fail. OGL question, if possible. Will this be the spark to finally let other TTRPGs come to the front? Well, it's certainly... Look, we don't...
So,
yeah.
I have a very... So, here's my argument. My argument is that other TTRPGs have come to the front, at least in the past. Before we had OGL 1.0, not Wizards, but the people who owned D&D before, had a relatively closed gaming license. And you saw, and this is just based off of what I've heard and what I have read, in the 90s and early aughts, you saw a surgence, a burgeoning. God, I really need to not use like purple prose words. It's not what we're writing here today. But
I mean, the
you
overlay
saw
is
this
very
emergence.
purple, so.
you saw this emergence of other systems and people really digging into other systems. And it was only with the rise of Critical Role, well, not only, but a big part of it can be attributed to the rise of Critical Role, the adoption of the OGL 1.0 and then 1.0A by, TSR owned them before. But only after the adoption of the OGL, the current OGL, did you see D&D then rise back to the prominence that it once enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say less that other systems will finally get their heyday, and more that the pendulum is swinging back in that it's inviting a bunch of new players. Because one thing that I found really incredible as Kay and I both made our way into the TTRPG space is the number of people, the number of really talented, very popular creators who looked me in the eyes and were like, "Oh, I've never played D&D. I don't know what's going on there." And I'm like, dear fellow TTRPG person, dear person who has been in more actual plays than Kay and I combined, my dear sibling in Christ, you have played so much for years now, for like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never touched, like you can't tell me you're nervous about what's going to happen in a D&D game like it's your first time. Like you've been here before. It's fine. You just remember that drinking a potion is a bonus action and you're good. Like, and they've looked at me and they're like,
So, there are many. One could very well make the argument, and again, we are shying away from making advice statements and legal statements because David and I are not lawyers. However, there is a very strong argument to be made that part of the reason that Dungeons and Dragons specifically is as popular and as played as it is because of the OGL and because it was made so open and so accessible. I know people who, Gabe Hicks's alternate ancestry, which basically allowed you to detach stat points from your race, was so incredibly popular because it allowed for customization. All of these different Kobold Press, Awfully Queer Heroes, who are just started a Kickstarter for spell books of queer spells, like all the spells are queer and queer inspired, wouldn't exist without the OGL. So part of the reason that D&D is, and I've said this before, and this is why most of our charity games up until now has been 5e, because it is so easy to pick up, to change it slightly, and to to make it do what you want, even if it's not. And this is a little bit of kind of what we've been saying is, even if it's not the perfect, even if it's not ideal, even if it is not the system that will let you do the exact thing the exact way, it's flexible enough. When we ran a horror game, it's like, we're going to throw in a stress mechanic and we're going to throw in a luck mechanic. And we're going to do some stuff where we're going to tell the players, you're going to have to trust us. But we made a horror game pretty successfully scary for the audience and the players, I like to think. That's certainly the feedback I've received. Now, we could have done Call of Cthulhu. We could have done Mothership. There's all sorts of various flavors of horror game that, Mothership has a wound and a stress mechanic that I think are too harsh for my personal. It takes away too much of what happens in that stress mechanic is caused by the die roll. Whereas our stress mechanics were, you get to tell us what happens until the mechanical stuff kicks in, and then we will flavor all the mechanical stuff with how that stress manifests that you told us. So 5e is very flexible. Part of why it is so flexible is because that was built into the OGL. Because you are allowed to do that. Because if you build something cool like that, you can then say, well, you liked that. Now you can, here it is for you to take, or here it is for you to buy for $5, or here it is as part of a whole frickin' Tal'Dorei Reborn adventure book. Go do it. And you know, this was not published. Their other book was published through Dungeons and Dragons. This one is not. There's no D&D on this, right? This is completely independent because of the OGL. So, all of that to say, I think that D&D became popular, yes, because Critical Role adopted it. Critical Role started out in Pathfinder, and they switched over to 5e for the stream, specifically. But D&D received a lot of success by it was like Ninja and Fortnite. Critical Role and D&D kind of rode that up. But then also the OGL allowed for so much to be done that it became popular. Now, again, Cato asked, is this a fake leak or a whatever to soften the blow or to... In my experience, if this had been a deliberate thing, the response would have come much sooner. Because, as someone else said in chat, the damage has been done. A lot of damage has been done. If it was, we're going to come out and say, oh, we're going to take 25% of any profits of any gross over this amount, they would have... within the next couple days, certainly by the time Open D&D started trending, have said, oh, actually, no, we're only taking 10%, which still wouldn't be great, but... Ooh. Right. So, personal opinion, I know nothing. I am not a lawyer. I have no inside connections, but just from my experience working in these spaces, I do... First off, I don't even know if this leak is real. After that reply from D&D Beyond today, where they said they're going to have a statement soon, seems more real. Up until then, I wouldn't have dared say either way. With that reply, seems like it's probably, at least some part of it, real. Don't know how much it's been changed between November, December, and now. And I don't think it was a test. I think if we've gone this long without hearing anything, I think there is an internal... a lot of internal communications going back and forth. And I will say it again, the most visible people on the internet who work for this company are the ones who have the least control over this. Please do not harass community managers or social media managers over stuff like this, because they have very little control over this. David, I talked a lot. You have an opinion. Say something, please.
So... okay, everyone turn away. It's just me and wizards. Just me and wizards. Hey, buddy. Friends. Because we are friends. We've been through a lot together. A lot has happened. And I know you're not going to do this. I know you're too smart to alienate your community like this. So, I'm glad that you're taking time to craft a response to this salacious, untrue, legal document. But as you navigate this, as you come out, when you come out and say, hey, we're not doing this, everything's going to be cool, everything's going to be great, we're still going to be very content creator focused and friendly. While you do that, I also need you to issue a public statement that says, hey, our community management team, our social management team really endured a whole lot because of a mistake on our part. So we want to say a big thank you, and everyone's getting a big bonus and a raise and the accolades that they deserve for cleaning up a tiny little mess that we had. Um, but that Wizards, that's just between you and me. No one else has to know about that. So when you come out and say, "Hey, our social media team, our community management team really responded well to this accusation. Big thank you. It wasn't my idea; it was yours. It's fine." So
We're all just here to make sure the right thing
everybody,
is done.
right? So now everybody can listen again. Um, Ultimately, like Kay said, we're not lawyers. This is not the sort of final shakedown of what it's going to be. And like so many other people, I am going to withhold my judgment until I see the dry ink on the paper.
Right.
That
And to answer the other part of your question, Cato, and I'm sorry, Manhattan has been very loud the last couple nights. Recording Emergency Power last night was very fun. I have a thing I really need to say. However, there's a siren, and it's progressively getting louder, so I can't say it, and we have to wait for it. It's still getting louder. I don't know what it is. We talked about this earlier in the show. The OGL is not only used by Wizards of the Coast. And again, so some elements that again we don't know when and if these will hold up in court. We don't know if they'll make it into the final draft. Even a lawyer can't tell you if these things will hold up in court because only the judge in that courtroom will decide if this holds up in court, right? But one of the things that the new OGL does is it revokes the old license, which will have some profound effects on some of the other major systems like Pathfinder. Allegedly, it is believed, it is generally commonly advised. David posted before, there's a great article by my lawyer friend, which runs through it. He is a lawyer. He talks about it, talks about the uncertainties. It's generally believed that things like Pathfinder 2 will be fine because it came out before the new one. But 1.1 revokes, or at least uses language saying it revokes the 1.0a. Again, will that hold up? Is that back? Can it reverse revoke it? Can it only revoke? We don't know. Lawyers can't even tell you that. Only a judge can tell you that. But please read what lawyers have to say. I am only parroting what lawyers say because they know the law much better than I. So Pathfinder, before this leak came out, when we heard there was going to be new OGL, Pathfinder had said, we are going to continue to use the 1.0a. Well, problem is, if 1.1 revokes it, they can't use it. So that's going to complicate a lot of things. But, there are other gaming systems that do not use the 1.0a. Cortex uses their own. And again, Cortex has a complex history with their agreement. But maybe we all jump ship to Cortex. Cobalt Press just announced today Project Black Flag, and they are creating their own TTRPG system. And one can assume, being that Cobalt makes 5e modules, they will want to use a very open license. Hey, Chris. So if this does lock down, if D&D does lock down more, it's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of different people. And again, actually not again because I haven't said this, but it is not cool, especially when talking to publishers, especially when talking to people who make content around 5e, be it on stream, be it add-ons, be it through Patreon. It is not cool to be like, yeah, well, D&D sucks and I've never used, or just play another game. Just play another system. Because these people have built their livelihoods and their marketing plans and probably years worth of marketing plans around this license. So it's not a cool take to be like, yeah, well, I've always hated that thing that you like and you've built your livelihood around sucks. And so like, haha, sucks to be you, but I've always hated it. Like, that's not a constructive conversation to have. I don't think anyone in this chat's doing that. But if anyone, is watching in the VOD, it's not a cool take. So if D&D does lock down more, again, we're already seeing Cobalt Press say, well, 1.1 or no, we're making our own TTRPG system. Our friend D'Angelo at one point was considering doing Emerald Templars as a 5e supplement and said, you know what? I'm going to make my own system. And now Emerald Templars it's very successful Kickstarter, has amazing creators. I got to playtest it, right? It's great. So if we see, we might, other systems, I'm not verbing this well, other systems might rise to a lot more prominence because supplements will be allowed under a different gaming license. That's speculation. I don't know. I would love to see, I have loved seeing all the diverse games out there. I have loved getting the opportunity for people to be like, we're doing a one-shot. Do you want to come play this game? We'll teach you the basics. I love that. It's amazing. I get to learn new systems. I love seeing what's out there. And yeah, it's everything we say right now is speculation because, again, I don't want to say we don't know for sure that the leak is real because it feels like there's still a question, but I'm going to say it again. You know, we don't know how much has changed already. Maybe those were just placeholder figures. Maybe those were just like placeholder figures. But I will say that the original OGL was less than 9,000 words. The new OGL is something like 90 pages.
Yikes.
I don't remember the exact number. Oh, no, correction.
No.
The new OGL, the old OGL was less than 900 words. The new OGL is 9,000 words.
Okay. That's more manageable. But
that's still a big change.
I will say the most important thing we can take away from this leak is this. For each and every one of us has signed up for a thing and done a thing and clicked accept on the terms and conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as it's not advisable, I'd say it's kind of sort of okay to do that. There is precedent in certain courts, both in the United States and Canada, whereby someone tries to hold you to the terms and conditions, and then the defense goes, listen, ain't none of us read them things. It's not a legally binding contract. And then the judge went, you know, none of us read them things.
Yeah.
But if you are going to seriously enmesh yourself in something, whether it's TTRPGs or otherwise, if you're going to sort of make a hybrid hobby / profession / side hustle, if you are going to monetize anything that you are doing, it is important to read your contracts with a fine-tooth comb. If you have someone with legal experience, get their opinion, not their legally binding opinion, but get their take on it. And most importantly, if you are going to use something, whether it's a platform like Twitch or a system like D&D, that you really sit down and read the thing, because I guarantee you more people have read the leak of 1.1 than they have of the release of 1.0a. Just because of all of the fervor around it, especially all of the creators that rely upon other platforms to for their livelihood. And let's be real, none of what we or they do exists in a vacuum. We're on Twitch right now. We're talking about D&D. We're using other proprietary software with very specific licensing agreements to transmit video, transmit audio. There are tons of people out there that, many of our shows have music from Bardly.io.
This one right now.
Right. Kay does a lot of homework and a lot of background work to make sure that the licensing is in order, not just to cover our ass, but to make sure that the creators, whether it be people who make music or people who make software or people who build platforms, that all of these different entities involved all get the credit that they deserve. So, as you move forward, make sure you read the fine print. And I think that is the biggest takeaway from all of this.
The other takeaway of this whole season is don't forget to diversify your everything. If all you know is 5e and you suddenly can't use 5 anymore, you're in a lot of trouble. In the meantime, David and I can mess around with a couple other systems that we know. I've got the Labyrinth TTRPG. We can run that. But,
Right.
We've learned
We
from
will run that.
Twitter might be going up in flames.
Right.
People who are able to adapt and check out some other stuff, when if you put all of your eggs in one basket, it's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be very difficult. So, speaking of, don't forget, we have the Chaotic Wholesome YouTube channel, and it's where you can catch reruns of this and check out our old charity games and our old actual plays. And if anyone would like to give us a follow, it helps so much. Yes, I am shamelessly plugging this right now. And
Oh no! How dare we plug our own things on our own show?
I try
By
to
the way,
try to keep.
Tell your friends to come on the show because we want to plug their pluggables too. But in the meantime,
Absolutely.
if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, stop what you're doing and go do it right now.
It will be very appreciated. And yes, I think we have rattled on. I mean, we certainly had lots to talk about with the 1. I feel like we talked so much about 1.1 while also saying we don't have that much to say because we're not lawyers. Oh, no. Oh, it's because I forgot the @ symbol. I apologize. It's weird to me. I'm so old. I'm so internet old school that an @ symbol in a URL boggles my brain.
It's weird. Yep.
Let me click this and make sure it works. Yes, brilliant. So yes, I feel like we talked a whole lot about 1.1 while saying we can't really say much about 1.1. But that's just kind of customers who want extra dots in the file names. Yeah.
Yikes.
But this is we are certainly living in interesting times. And for a while it was the planet's burning up and Twitter's burning to the ground, but at least we can play D&D. And now I'm like, I did this, didn't
yeah,
I?
now it's like, can we now?
I did this, didn't I? Ooh, is this my fault? Did I put that in the universe?
Pain.
Yes.
But we will get through it. We will get through it. Even if we have to build it up from scratch, we will get through it.
Absolutely. So with that, I think we are going to wrap it up. I will wrap it up by saying thank you again for watching. Thank you again for chatting. Thank you again for subscribing on YouTube, for watching the video, for comment, any and everything you do, for retweeting. All of that helps so much. I put a bunch of this up at the end of the year on my Twitter, but I just like to say it here. We kind of started this show to be we're just going to kind of goof around, and did not expect the feedback and the amazing great vibes and the just dedication that we got from y'all. And it is incredible. I look forward to this every week. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday nights with us. If you have things that you would like to promote, or if you have things that you would like us to talk about, or if you have people or games or systems that you would like to see us promote, we are very much looking for guests. If you're I'm an expert on this system, or I know more about, here's a really great way to make your Pathfinder feel more like D&D. If you, are scared of D&D, but also don't, whatever your expertise is, please let us know. We would love to have you on and come and talk. As you know, if you watch this, it's pretty chill. But we saw incredible growth last year, and we couldn't, it is all of you, so thank you so much. I'm going to stop talking and say, David, tell us again who you are and what we're doing here.
Hi, I'm David. You can find me on Twitter at FullRubberDucky. And it's weird that I don't have numbers in there, but this is the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff. Occasionally we talk about legal stuff, even though we're not lawyers. But mostly we cover how to be a better GM, how to be a better player. You'll see a lot more system examination from us over the coming weeks and months, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusion so that everybody can have a good time. And also, we missed y'all.
We missed the heck out of y'all. And I'm Kay. I usually do a lot of TTRPG stuff, but actually, not to say my calendar's empty, because I'm still doing stuff, it's just not out yet. However, right now, we don't have any actual plays coming up on this channel yet. I've got a few plans. But you can find us here every Tuesday for the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. I am going to be playing through Pokemon Violet in Spanish so that I can get a Spanish Ditto. So come on by on Thursdays to watch me play a Pokemon game in a language I don't speak. It should be a good time. You can normally find me every other Wednesday on the Emergency Power Podcast. However, Emergency Power Podcast is doing something a little special. They are doing a Skittermander arc. So for the next 2 months, you will not find me there. You will find a group of amazing people, including folks from We'll Save the Podcast. And there's a couple other places where I don't even know when these episodes are going live, but I will be popping up a couple other places. So if you keep an eye on my Twitter, KDamnFear, I'm KDamnFear across the internet, you will find out where I will be popping up, because honestly, some of these I recorded early last year, and I don't know when they're coming out. So hang out here Tuesdays and Thursdays for talk show goodness or Pokemon.